Welcome back, beautiful people. This is episode 72 of an Untold Narrative, where we feature creators, artists, photographers, videographers, curators, entrepreneurs, and everything in between. As long as you are creative, we want to spotlight you. Um, People who are doing amazing shit underground without a massive following, and we want to spotlight and tell those stories. And today's guest is no different and fits all of that and above. Lucy Crivelli, I think that's how you say your last name. I didn't even ask you pre-show. Thanks for coming on board and joining us.
Thank you for having me, David. I'm so excited. I know I said it like multiple times before. Really am. And I'm just thankful that you thought about me and I'm excited to share more.
Cool. So, like you, I like I told you offline, like I don't do any like pre-built research, but like what I did do is, well, like I scrolled your like Instagram and we've been following each other for a minute. You're like all like a crazy hustler. Like you do like 47 different things. You are a photographer, like you've worked with Foot Locker and a bunch of other major brands. You like have your own creative agency. You run Aglet. You do Tip, which I think you do with your partner. Like you do so many different things. Like how do you? What's your 30-second elevator pitch about yourself?
I am a I don't even know. A Mexicana trying to dream big, trying to make it out here. And that's really why I'm so committed to thriving in everything that I want to do. So, I don't think that like life has any limits for me. And if I'm interested in something, I'll go for it. And maybe I'll succeed, maybe I'll fail. But as long as I continue to, try, I think that's better than failing. So that's it. That's really it. I'm just I'm very interested in a lot of different things. My heart really is in photography and creativity, and it all started with sneakers and fashion. And then from there, it kind of just grew, evolved, became like a snowball effect. And I kind of took everything as I was going in my journey and made it my own.
Wow, I literally have chills down my spine, and we just started. We're like a minute in, so that was amazing. Okay, so to take us back, like you obviously the first thing you say, and you actually introduce yourself very similar to the way I do. Like I was born in Poland, so I tell people that like I'm an immigrant to this country. I assume that's the same for you. Like, is that where it started? Like, what was your upbringing like? Like, you obviously have this inherent immigrant hustle in you. Like, where did it all start?
Yes, I was born in Mexico. Cuernavaca, Morelos is the main city, but I'm actually from a smaller town, even smaller than Cuernavaca, which is Barranca Honda. So that's where I was born with my grandparents who raised me. My mom, she came to the US with her brothers and sisters, just trying to give me a better life. And then eventually I came to US and haven't stopped working ever since. I'm 3 years old and already doing so much, but it's that immigrant mentality, right? It's like you really are leaving your entire family, everything you know, the language, the food, your culture to come to a completely different country and try and pursue your dreams, right? And give your family a better future. And that's always been engraved in me and who I am. And I still have family in Mexico. My grandparents have unfortunately passed away, but my parents are still there, not in Mexico. We go back and forth, but my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, and my siblings who now live here with my parents, it's kind of my duty as a older sister to kind of show them the ropes and continue that legacy, right? So yeah, it's kind of I think that's where it started. I don't know. I just kind of went with it, and I've always been a very big dreamer. I will say though that I wasn't as disruptive and as bold as I am now as I'm getting older. I
Yeah.
was very much that like put your head down, listen and do what you're told and keep family traditions and respect your family and respect your parents' wishes and do what you are told. And that's not really who I am anymore. But I think that that all becomes a part of you and somehow you develop out of it and you kind of create your own thing because now yes, I'm an immigrant, but I live in America. So my thoughts are different. My influences are different, and the things that I aspire are actually a lot bigger than what my parents thought it would be coming to America, you know? So I don't know. I think I've exceeded the like boundaries, I guess, that were set up for me. And I was like, I can actually do a lot more. And I was around film, photography, and creativity my whole life, but I wasn't able to tap into it because my role was, you know, take care of your family, take care of your siblings, help mom and dad, with bills, work with them, even if it was like secretly at my mom's like clinics that she would clean or at the houses that she would clean, and once I got out of that and I went to college, I realized that like it's a whole new game. It's a whole new world. And like I can make my parents proud, and I can do all of these big, big things and accomplish a lot of amazing things, but on my own terms, not just because it's expected of me.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's so amazing and very similar. So like I like started working with my mom. She used to clean funeral homes and office buildings when I was 14 years old. I'd go help her. So like very similar. I definitely felt that. Has the pressure of like or like I don't think they're applying the pressure, maybe they are, but like has that pressure ever gotten to you? Like I feel like that's such a heavy burden to like carry.
It is, and this is something I occasionally talk about, especially with people like that understand where we come from as immigrants and just even people of color. It's that guilt more than the pressure. It's the guilt of like I cannot go to like Starbucks or go get food or go out to eat with my friends because I know that my mom is sitting at home cooking for my family. I know that that's the smallest little thing,
Mhm.
but it's that guilt of like, maybe I shouldn't take this trip because my family can't take it, and maybe is not as much pressure anymore, but growing up there definitely was that pressure from my parents pushing me and pushing a lot of their dreams on me too, right? Any parent wants their child to succeed and have the best life and, have the most amazing career. But, now it's a matter of like showing them that what I decided to do with my life works for me, and it allows me to be successful, but it also allows me to give back to them and to my community. It's more of the guilt that I have to deal with now. And
Sure.
so it's still like an ongoing thing that, I don't think I'll ever really get rid of. It's always going to be in the back of my head. The more success, the more stability that I reach, I will always have that. And it's just a matter of like maybe giving myself a little bit of grace and talking it through with my parents at some point,
Sure.
but yeah, I think that it's definitely more guilt and pressure at this point.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot to carry and a lot that you've accomplished, right? Like, hopefully, you've been able to, so far to take a couple like deep breaths and acknowledge how far you and your family have come. Where did you get like the creative side of you though? Is it from your parents? Sounds like maybe your grandparents who raised you. Like, there's nobody creative. Like you mentioned photography and like curation and like, all these things, and it's like, where does it come from?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was around it most of my life growing up because of where I lived. So, I grew
Mm,
up in Culver City, Inglewood, which is Culver City is actually the film capital of the world.
I didn't
So
know that.
always, yeah, I didn't either, until I got older and realized like, holy crap, like I was around this forever, but never tapped into it because my mind and my energy was just focused in other parts of my life where I had a different role. I couldn't explore. I couldn't, that just wasn't on my mind. And it wasn't because it wasn't like brought to me or my parents didn't say like, oh, go, draw or go have fun. Like it wasn't that. It was just my priorities as a person, as an individual, like were way different. And
Mm,
it wasn't until I got to college and actually met my now husband that I started to venture into like photography and fashion, styling, content creation, working with brands. And then it just kind of kept growing and growing. But in my family, I do have a lot of carpenters. Most
mm,
of my uncles worked with wood, And I loved seeing their designs. I loved seeing the process, but it wasn't like something that I was like, oh, I want to do that, you know?
Right.
So I did have it around me, but like I said, it wasn't something that I even thought I could make a career out of, you know? I was just like so focused on I'm going to be a lawyer and I have to get straight A's and all of the internships and, you know, like amazing, like just a perfect person. And it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't. It was like boring to me. You know, I was
Yeah.
so freaking good at all my classes, but like there's like certain things that bring out passion in you
Mm.
wasn't doing it for me. So once I learned about photography, about what Geza, that's my husband's name, what he was doing with his, at the time, it was a men's fashion blog that was just growing. It was just when blogs were starting, before influencers were a thing, you know, before brand deals and brand ambassadors were even a thing. He was establishing himself as a, you know, pioneer within fashion, within sneakers, and being able to merge those things at that time was very hard. So when I saw that, I was like, well, how can I help without having, you know, the skills to take photos or edit, or, you know, and my jam is like organizing. I'm
Mm.
very good at organizing. I'm very good at like emailing and keeping up and, you know, just the day-to-day tasks that he needed help with. So that's kind of where I stepped in. And it came down to one of his events where he was down a model and he was down a photographer. So he stepped in as a model and he gave me his camera and was like, just shoot. I have it, you know, I have all the settings good, like just point and shoot. And I was like, okay, like this is crazy. I'm not a professional photographer, but I'm gonna try it. And that's, I think that part of me is the I'm just going to try it is has always been what has saved me and
Mm.
has allowed me to be introduced to something that I didn't even know I could be good at. So
Mm.
from that moment, those pictures actually ended up in the magazine that he brought out like the following, I think it was like the following fall. And to see my work, you know, being bought by people and admired by people was like, shit, like I can do this and I like it. You know, I like the way that it makes me feel. I love being able to put it together and see my work afterwards, the faces of the people that I take the pictures, how good they feel about
Mm.
themselves. And that's what inspired me. And I wanted to do photography. I asked him to teach me his ways, and of course, he secretly liked me. So he
Wow,
wanted to impress me.
this is so good. It's like you read my mind. I was literally like building up a question of like, was there like a launching point for you that like a aha moment, and you just like described the perfect scenario and project of like that aha moment
It's just like
of
a
working.
perfect moment, really. It really
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
And then years later you get married and now it's a beautiful life.
I he had it all written out. Like he
Oh,
was like,
I'm
I'm gonna
sure.
teach her how to do that. Just kidding. I don't really think we even knew what we were starting
Totally.
before it started, you know? Like and after I kind of got the hang of photography, I got my first camera. We would go out to shoot. Brands really started reaching out to him at that point where he couldn't really balance everything. So he needed extra help. And I jumped in, help, and that's when I learned like how to even do deals, like how to
Mhm.
create budgets, how to create sets, like design, production, direction. It was like everything was kind of falling into my lap and I needed to learn it, you know, and it was at the perfect time. We're still in college, not too much is expected of us, you know, and it wasn't a thing yet. So I kind of got to build it with him on how we wanted to portray ourselves and how we wanted to work with different brands and what brands we wanted to work with. Right. So after that, eventually we continued working together and started freelancing together. And years later in 2020, after we both lost our jobs, we just said, F it, let's go full on. And we launched our creative agency.
Wow. Wow. So hold on, let's rewind a tiny bit. Like what years was the college experience?
2012 to 2016.
Okay. And so right after college, did you both go off into a first venture together? Did you have like a 9 to 5? Like what was like those years of like
Yeah.
how did you manage
So my goal was to finish my career, to finish um the
your degree?
yes, my degree, to finish my degree and in the concentration that I was in. So my degree is in international relations with a concentration in strategic intelligence. So I wanted to just finish that because I knew that at some point I would want to go back to law school, which is still a possibility. And I think at some point I will.
Let's
I just
go.
I don't have I don't have law school money right now. So and I for sure am not getting into any more debt unless Biden likes to, give us a little help over here. But I finished college. Geza graduated a year before me, so he moved back to Philly where he's from. And mind you, I'm across country, so I went
Mm.
from LA to Virginia. That's where we met. And then he asked me to move in with him after college. So I was like, okay, my options are LA. Like, do I want to make it in LA right now? Can I make it in LA right now? Or should I take some time to really build in Philly with him? And there was actually a position open at for Adidas marketing, field marketing.
Cool.
And he told me about it because he was also working. That was his first job right out of college, thankfully. And because that position was open and we were just dating, I was like, well, there won't be any weirdness that like we would be on the same team. And so I basically made my way in there. Obviously, I'm good at what I do, so got the job and worked with Adidas for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. They then offered Geza a bigger position to move to LA, and that's when we moved out here. Uh,
Wow. Cool.
they didn't offer me anything, but I'm still waiting for. Just kidding. Kidding.
Adidas fam, if you're listening, what are you doing?
Shots. No, I've worked with Adidas on and off even after that for other
Very
projects.
cool.
And thankfully, like my roster has like from college to even after college, even after Adidas, like it just kept growing. I've worked with Nike, Reebok, Yeezy, Adidas, like a lot of different brands that thankfully have, helped me in my career and built myself up as a producer, content creator, director, and now with Aglet too. Like it's awesome. But let me take you back real quick because you asked. I'm like all over the place.
No, that was no, that was perfect. I actually have like one question I need to ask
Yeah.
you is like it's so amazing. Like you can like your relationship with your husband is just like super vibrant and like it's very, very apparent. Do you have any challenges working with like a significant other? Like, I gotta know, like, that seems like something that's very unusual. Like, a
Yeah.
lot of people probably are frightened of it. Like, what are the pros and cons, right? Like, you obviously like love each other, so that's okay. Check that box. But like, do you ever butt heads creatively? Like, how is that partnership like on the work front? You said in 2020 you started your own agency together. Like, what does that look like for people listening?
Yeah, for a very long time, I had listened to other people say that it's not good to work with your significant other or build
Right?
businesses. Yeah. And so that was always like in the back of my head. But because when we started working together, we were best friends,
Mhm.
that foundation was there. And honestly, I think going into any partnership, whether it's with a significant other or with a business partner, you have to realize that you will always have differences and you will always be different. I don't expect my significant other to be exactly like me. I would be annoyed.
Mhm.
I want him to be different. I want him to have different ideas and bring different shit to the table. I don't want the same stale stuff that's always, on. I want there to be, like you said, vibrancy. And I hope that other people feel that same way, not just about our relationship, but also about our business.
Mhm.
Because then I hope that it also encourages other people that do work with their significant other to want to build something. Um, But yeah, we do have differences many times, but it's about how you resolve them and about how you can separate. Right now you're not my husband, right now you're
Mm.
my business partner, and I have to listen to you. Like when you're my husband, I may not, like, I just, roll my eyes and say whatever, but as a business partner you have to be able to give that person the floor to speak their mind, to say how they feel, how you want to guide your business, because it's your baby together,
Mm.
and so
So
that's
what's a
probably
what's
the most important thing.
what's something that's like tangible, like for somebody to take away as like a way to resolve, a conflict, right? Okay, listening, step one. But like, does anything come to mind as like something that you both have used over and over that really helps get to the bottom of a disagreement?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned pros and cons. We make pros and cons lists
Oh,
for every,
okay.
we really do. And then we come together. You have to take a little bit of a break. It can get heated. People will have different opinions and emotions too, yes, he is my business partner, but he has his own feelings. So I don't want to hurt him by saying something that just is so
Mhm.
off-putting. So it's about taking a step back, realizing like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that, or maybe I should word it differently. And yes, come to it listening, but also come with your facts. Like, don't be afraid to talk your shit. Like, don't be afraid to say, like, no, this is why I think we should do this. And 10 times out of 10, you will find a resolution. Even if it's maybe not the thing that you wanted, or maybe not the thing that he wanted. But
There's
yeah,
there's something there's something really special about that, and it sounds like there is a blend. And what I've seen from my perspective is a lot of times when people come to disagreements, like both parties aren't willing to give and take, right? And so when somebody's a little bit more stubborn than the other person, it makes it very, very difficult. But as long as okay, like in this situation, let's not even use the words winning and losing because it's really not like that because you're both winning at the end of the day. But like, okay, maybe I'll give her this one and understanding that like next time, like maybe there's more empathy towards my side if I feel really strongly about it, right? It sounds
right.
like you have that balance.
Yeah, I think so. And it definitely helps to have that open communication where you really aren't scared to be yourself, and
Hmm.
you're really not scared to just, say what's on your heart, because I think that's what holds people back from being able to find those resolutions, or even giving in. Like giving into the situation, like you said, like saying, "Okay, you can have this one." But it's not about like the keeping count or keeping tabs, or saying like, "Oh, Lucy won, Gay's a zero." It's not about that ever. It's about making the decisions that are going to benefit both of you and your business at the end of the day. And it's not even about both of you. Egos need to be out of the door, out of the house. Absolutely. It's never about us. It's about like, how is this decision going to affect our business? Because
Mm,
our business affects our community, and then it all comes circling back to our relationship and our foundation.
100%. So I gotta ask, you are wildly confident in the way that you speak and the way like it's amazing. Like I'm like taken aback by like how powerful your words are. Like what have you had an experience that or like is it just practice? Like if anybody's listening and just like doesn't have like like I've interviewed now 72 different people, there's a confidence about the way that you speak and a passion. Like, is there a way that somebody can like learn that? Or like, was there an event in your life that's like informed you on how to, I don't know if like articulate words better, whatever it is, like, where do you get your confidence from?
Yeah. If I can point it back to like a specific part of my life, was probably a communications course that I took in college.
Oh, wow.
Where no, like it's not even what you think it is. I took the communications course, had a whole presentation, did not like do any research, did not do anything to know what the hell I was going to be talking about. And I really like put myself in a situation that was, one, embarrassing, and two, completely, like, I was just dumb. Like I looked dumb, and I sounded dumb, and I felt dumb, and I was like, this is not at all like how I want to portray myself. This is not how I want to carry myself. And I found myself like bullshitting through the entire presentation. So in that moment, I realized it would have been better to just say, I don't know, than
Mm.
to try and make up what I thought people wanted to hear. And
Oh.
it brings me back to now where there's still things that I'm continuing to learn within Web3, within the crypto space, within sneakers even. I can pretend and sit here like I know every sneaker that's ever been released, but maybe I don't, and fashion too. So the confidence comes in what I know and what I've prepared myself for. So if I don't know something, I will not sit there and pretend like I do. I will openly say I don't know, or try and rephrase the conversation or the question. But it's just about how you carry yourself. It's just being who you are, and authentically yourself. Like, I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not here to win anybody over. I'm not here for others. I really am here for myself and for what I want to build and for the things that I want others to feel inspired by so that they can build them. I don't need the clout, the likes, the follows. I don't need them. They're nice, but they're not
Wow,
the end all
let's
be
go
all.
go off. Say it louder for the people in the back. I hope everybody is fucking listening. Wow, that was beautiful. That is getting clipped. That is so amazing. You mentioned a little bit. We're gonna talk. We'll talk a little bit about sneakers, but like that's like what everybody like talks about. So, but I do want to talk about Aglet. You mentioned the Web3. You mentioned the NFT side. You're part of this new startup that's really part of all of those ecosystems of sneakers, of NFTs, of Web3. There's I believe some like geofencing application in terms of like your location and stuff like that. So like, how did you get involved in something like that? Like that's such a leap of faith. Obviously, like I recently took that step into startup world myself 6 months ago in a very similar situation. But like there's a lot that goes into a decision like that of like, hey, I'm gonna like really put my best foot forward to join something that everybody's terrified. Everybody sees the headlines of the negativity, but like I believe in this. So like, where did it start? Like, talk about it. Like, what's your role there? Like, how did you get involved?
Yeah. Well, first off, congratulations.
No,
You guys are killing it, and we absolutely love you guys over at Aglet. So I'm super inspired by the work that you guys do. But for me, it was a huge leap of faith of just kind of betting on myself and betting on another company, and on a brand with a vision to better how we live life, how we live on life, online and offline. It's online. That's what we named our major company. So On Life actually owns Aglet.
wait, on life is like my brain. Did you watch my brain explode?
It was like, what? Oh.
For those not watching YouTube, you're fucking up because my brain literally exploded on the screen.
It was a visual representation of a brain exploding. But yeah, so our founders, Ryan David Mullins and Owen Batt, they founded On Life, which is, at the intersection of being online and offline. And that became, and Aglet became their baby. So Aglet is a product of On Life, and it is a geolocation Web3 gaming app for sneakerheads. And we've combined being out in the real world, being able to basically go out into your city, collect sneakers out in real life, um, gain in game currency by walking. So your physical activity is tracked and you get rewarded for that. And then you can use that reward. So those coins, Aglet coins, can use them to purchase in game assets and in game rewards.
So cool.
So it's a little bit of everything and a little bit of everything that I love too, sneakers, fashion, crypto, and then now, adding that Web3 layer and me learning about NFTs, learning about the metaverse, what it is, why. And honestly, we do it a little bit different. So we have a partnership with Immutable X, who is our wallet holder. So Immutable X creates a custodial wallet for each NFT holder that purchases an NFT through our app. And our players are able to use USDC to actually make their purchases. So you don't need to have a crypto wallet. You don't need to have any type of crypto to make these purchases. And yeah, so it's a whole another world. It's a whole nother layer. with all of the things that I love, but definitely a lot more complex. But I have always been interested in the crypto space, and honestly in the tech space. I've always wanted to be the person that has like the best phone and like the newest phone, and Geza really also encouraged me with that. Like we had the newest Android phone and the newest Apple product, you know? So it was always about like looking at what is coming and having like an eye for technology and just kind of looking ahead, you know? So I think that that was the key to then learning about the metaverse through Ryan, through one of the founders, and learning what NFTs were before it was even a thing, and saying like, holy shit, this might change a lot of things for the future of tech, fashion, finance, like
I mean,
commerce,
everything, everything.
everything, art, like it's everything. So that was like the biggest push for me. I was like, hell yeah, I believe in this. I'm locked in. Teach me everything. You know, like I was full on like sold and wanted to join this team from a content side, from a social side. Was brought on as an intern first. So I actually found out about this opportunity through Twitter.
Wow.
And yeah, the guy at the time that was working for Aglet, Azim Khan, he put out a tweet that Geza Soft sent it to me, and I was like, I'm gonna follow this guy. And he was looking for a PR intern. I've never done PR. I've written PR, but it was never like
Yeah.
I was the main editor or anything like that, right? So I was like, well, they don't have a social media manager. I did all of my LinkedIn research. I did all of my Google research on Aglet,
For an
on
internship.
yes, because I knew that it wouldn't be an internship. I said, I'm not going to just be an intern. Like, this is a startup in this. What is a startup? First of all, you know, like what am I getting myself into? How fast can you move up in a startup? How fast can I move up in this brand? Like, they don't have that. So I'm going for that position. So
Right.
going into it, I wasn't like, oh, I'm just their intern. No, I named myself social media manager in my head, you know, and found a way to like showcase my skills. And as soon as they saw my resume, they were like,
Yeah, yeah.
hell yeah, you know, hell yes, like we're bringing you on. Under 3 months, like less than 3 months, I was officially on the team. And then in less than 6 months, I officially had a new promotion and was brought on full time to the team. So
Congrats. So how when was that, and like
mhm.
yeah, how long have you been part of that organization?
So I lost my job at the start of the pandemic. So it was like March 2020. And Aglet came out like they launched during the pandemic, which was crazy. They launched April 12th, 2020.
Oh
I
wow.
downloaded I downloaded the app the day after it launched. And that's how we started following a bunch of people from Aglet,
Sure.
and that's how Geza found Azim on Twitter. And so I was just kind of like scoping it out and figuring out how I could be a part of it. And then obviously got on the team, and that was 2 years ago. So it's been a little over 2 years, and I'm still here. I'm still thriving, just moving on up and coming for everybody's job.
I love that. That's so incredible. Yeah, no, and that's so beautiful. Like that story of like how like it again, it's like your husband's just always looking out for you. It sounds like he's
We're always looking out for each
he's
other.
always he's always sending you DMs with jobs and shit.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And like it's so nice. Like we don't just send jobs, we send memes, we send like, you
Oh,
know,
that's
things that
awesome.
we're inspired by, like things that we want to recreate, things that we're like, holy crap, like that's awesome that that person's doing that, you know. It's always a back and forth with me and him, but we genuinely have each other's backs, and can't think of anyone else looking out for me like that.
That's so incredible. And so you obviously work at Aglet. I assume it's full time, and
Mhm.
then you also have another business called Tomorrow Isn't Promised or TIP. Um, for those who don't know or aren't aware of it, yeah, I know that recently you just did this big launch. You had an event, an in-person event. Tell everybody what it is, like, and then we'll get into like how you're juggling multiple full-time jobs.
Okay, so Tip is my creative agency, It is the business that Geza and I started at the beginning of the pandemic. So it was around August 20th when we officially launched it. But when we started the plans for it was around March. And then once I was working at Aglet, I was actually able to consult for them through Tomorrow Isn't Promised, through my agency. So Aglet was my first client. And then once they brought me full time on the team, I had to, kind of distance myself a little bit from Tip and let Geza run it full time. But what we do at Tip, Tip is short for Tomorrow Isn't Promised. It's a little acronym. But what we do is we focus on content, consulting, marketing, events, a little bit of everything, honestly, when it comes to the creative side of it. It's really like an incubator for projects. So, say that you want to start a new streetwear brand, right? And you don't know where to start, you don't know what to name it, you don't have a logo, you don't have a website, you don't have anything, kind of starting from scratch. You come to us, we kind of work out a plan for you, we show you the ropes, and then we give it back to you, and you can, literally grow your business. That's where we eventually want to get to, right? Right now, over the past 2 years, we've kind of just been building up our arsenal of brands that we've worked with across sneakers, cannabis, and tech. So the long-term goal is for it really to be an incubator of these ideas and projects for the community, for people of color, for people who, really understand the meaning of tomorrow isn't promised. Like, you have an idea, you should do it today, you shouldn't wait. But yeah, that's a little bit of a little small spiel of what Tip is, but it's our baby. And I'm so proud of where we are right now. And Tip Supply was actually a part of our launch in August 20th of this year. We basically started another brand from our creative agency, but it's only focused on apparel and art. Um, so we plan to use Tip Supply as a way of doing collaborations with other brands, say, hopefully Adidas or Reebok or whoever wants to be like, hey, we want to do a collaboration with Tip, then we can actually have merch and physical,
Right.
Items and even NFTs. We also dropped NFTs at our launch. But yeah, and then the art side of it too, which is Geza's like baby. It's
Mm.
the way that he expresses himself and how he's able to showcase like how he feels to the world, and it's in a beautiful way, through his actual art, oil on canvas, even digital art too. But all of that kind of brings it together, and yes, Tip Supply is an extension of Tip, but it's still one big family.
Wow, incredible. So many things going on. So many beautiful things going on. Um, are you happy? Like, are you stoked to wake up every day? Like, you must be.
Fuck yeah. I wake up almost every day at like 5 a.m. Sometimes like I'll snooze it and I'll wake up at 6, but I'm excited every day to do what I love, and I don't know how I hold it together. I think people think I hold it together really well and I can manage so much shit at the same time, but it does get overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge, but I'm up for that challenge every day. And maybe like not every day has to be perfect. There's going to be some days where I need a nap, but it just keep going. Like, I can't see myself not continuing. Like, I've always heard this saying from actually Steve Harvey says, if you're not trying, you're failing. If you once you stop trying, you fail. That's what failure is.
Mhm.
But if I'm continuing to go and I'm just learning, even if it's bad days or bad lessons, I'm at least learning and I'm growing and I'm making it better. Maybe I won't make the same decisions that I made last week this week. So I'm excited. I'm
That,
happy.
that's amazing. That's all that people want, right? Like, that's the dream. Lucy, this has been amazing. I feel like we could this episode could be the longest in the history of this podcast if we kept going. I have two more questions for you. the first is, where can people find you? Do you have a website? Your bios on social platforms? There's obviously a ton. There's Aglet app. There's Lucy as your own brand. There's Tip. Where can people find everything?
Yes. So you can find more information on Tip on tomorrowisn'tpromised.us. That is our website. I'm sure you'll include it somewhere in there.
I will.
And my social handles on all platforms is just Lucy Crivelli. You can find me, message me, follow me. I'll follow you back. And Aglet, it's just Aglet app on all platforms. Definitely download the app. We have a lot of features coming in Q4 and in Q1 of 2023. We just launched hair for avatars, and it's pretty sick.
Nice.
So we have a lot planned. That's really, really exciting. I was just telling you before we started this call that November's pretty packed
Yeah.
and December's pretty packed. But if you are in the LA area this November and you plan on coming to Complex Con, or if you just plan on coming to Complex Con,
I'll be there.
we have an
Hopefully.
Aglet we have an Aglet player meetup on November 18th, and it'll be in West Hollywood. Prizes, giveaways, food, and good ambiance and good people. So yeah,
Super
that's
cool.
everything
And
though.
then definitely all the links will be in the bio as well. Last question. And just because you brought it up, I actually usually have a tradition of asking a different question, but I actually think you've inspired me. I think I want to ask this from now on. Like, let's give flowers out today, not to tomorrow, right? So if you had to give maybe a top 3 or one person or whoever comes to your mind, who are you giving, like, who do you want to like spotlight outside of yourself? Because this has been amazing, but like, who would you give flowers to right now?
Okay, Kapam and Rock'em, Tara, love you. Diana Veron, who is an amazing Argentinian creator based out of South Carolina or North Carolina, can't remember, one of the Carolinas. And Creative NLB, who is a local LA and Inglewood native photographer. So shout out to them.
Wow.
And then one more beautiful lady, Autumn Breon, who is an amazing ex-NASA engineer, now creative director, curator, artist, and NFT enthusiast. So love these women, and they inspire
Wow.
me so much.
I'm definitely gonna go look these people up. This is amazing. Also, isn't just based on that last person's bio that you gave, isn't it amazing how in 2022 there's like no excuse to like not change your career path, like just do something wild, like go from a astronaut to a creative director.
Seriously, the possibilities are limitless. And I think we limit ourselves by putting ourselves in a box and allowing like social media, our parents sometimes, unfortunately, our families, and whatever people think about us, we allow that to limit us and to hold us back from what we really want to do. But I say try it all. You want to be a lash tech, do it. If you want to be a nail tech, do it. If you want to be an astronaut, fucking do it. Do it all. We only have one life. And if we don't try what we love and we don't follow our passions, then are we really living?
Well, I can't end the show any better than that, ladies and gentlemen. This has been episode 72 of An Untold Narrative. Lucy Crivelli, this has been one of my favorite episodes thus far. This has been superior.
Aw, love you. Thank you for having me.